What if Squid Game were real? Imagine waking up one day, receiving a mysterious card with strange symbols, and before you know it, you're competing for your life in childhood games where a single mistake means death. Sounds insane, right? But what if you had debts you couldn't pay? If the system had completely failed you? What would you be willing to risk for a second chance? Who would accept such madness? What if millions of desperate people decided to play? How would society respond? And what if the powerful were behind it, watching from the shadows, as if it were luxury entertainment? In this video, we're going to explore one of the most disturbing scenarios of all, a world where Squid Game is not fiction, but part of the system. We'll analyze how it would begin, who would participate, what consequences it would have, and, the most disturbing thing, what if you were part of it? This isn't just a simple what-if game. It's a dark mirror that reflects our worst inequalities. So stay until the end, because what you discover might change the way you see the real world.
It seems absurd to think someone would voluntarily sign up for a deadly game. But in a world where millions live with unpayable debts, unstable jobs, and no hope of improvement, Squid Game might seem like an opportunity. Imagine having to choose between living on the street or risking yourself in a game where, if you win, you could completely change your life. That's the kind of dilemma thousands of people face every day, even without deadly games involved. Desperation is the perfect fuel for extreme decisions. And it's not just about the money. People also seek validation, meaning, and even notoriety. In a society that glorifies quick fame and spectacle, participating in something like this might seem like the only way to become someone. Let's not forget the psychological side. Many would feel they have nothing left to lose. People abandoned by the system, invisible to the world, might see these games as their only way out. And that makes it a perfect breeding ground for horror. Squid Game doesn't become real just with rules. It becomes real when the world is broken enough for people to say, yes, I would play.
If Squid Game truly existed, the impact on society would be devastating. At first, the world would be in shock. Some would see it as an aberration, but others as a fascinating social experiment. The media would cover every detail. Influencers would react in real time, and social media would turn the deaths into viral content, shared and discussed like just another Netflix series. Two sides would quickly emerge, those who condemn it as a human atrocity and those who defend it as a voluntary choice of the participants. Some would argue that at least it gives them a chance, while others would demand its immediate abolition for being an inhuman spectacle. Governments would be divided. Some would consider it a threat to public morality, while others would allow its existence in the shadows, calculating that it reduces the social costs of poverty. And the legal system would be in crisis. Is it ethical to allow death by consent? What laws apply in such an event? On a personal level, society would begin to dehumanize the participants. Empathy would decrease. The poor would be seen as disposable, as modern gladiators. Social classes would become even more distant, and violence more normalized. The line between viewer and accomplice would blur. Emerging platforms would stream the games live. Illegal betting, online fan communities, and even merchandise with the winners' faces would arise. The scariest part? That after a while, people would get used to it. Just like with the cruelest reality shows, violence in video games, and blood-filled news, the intolerable would become entertainment. And that day, we would lose more than our humanity. We would lose the collective soul of society. If Squid Game were real, the games would be designed for one thing: brutal spectacle. They wouldn't be simple competitions, but would force players into moral dilemmas, extreme stress, and inevitable betrayals. Children's games would just be the facade. Red light, green light wouldn't be a simple game with lethal consequences, but a psychological trap, turning the innocent into the deadly. On top of that would be challenges that force choices between your life and someone else's. Imagine choosing whether to push a stranger to save yourself or die. Everything would be designed for maximum emotional suffering. Games at heights where you see others fall into the void. Group challenges where only one survives. Tests where you must choose between helping a friend or eliminating them to advance. The organizers would constantly seek to raise the stakes. Games in extreme physical conditions, with sleep deprivation, hunger, or constant fear. The cruelty wouldn't just be in the rules, but in what they provoke inside each player. Guilt, panic, betrayal, despair. Everything would be perfectly controlled. Hidden cameras, unbreakable rules, constant surveillance. The players wouldn't be seen as people, but as pieces on a board. One mistake and you're out. Literally. The most disturbing part would be seeing how some adapt. Players who, to survive, become cold, calculating, even dangerously efficient. Ordinary people turned into social predators. And the further the games advanced, the more sadistic the show's creators would do everything not to disappoint them. In this world, entertainment would have no limits. The line between game and torture would vanish. What began as a competition would become the total decay of humanity.